drops on the year 2000, it will be a momentous event for the world and for the U.S. economy, which is closing in on its longest expansion ever. The decade has been marked by strong growth, the lowest unemployment in a generation, and yet remarkably little inflation.
Since 1991, the economy has expanded in what's about to break the record as America's longest boom. If anything, the economy is speeding up, going way faster since 1995 than once thought possible without sparking inflation. Low inflation has led to low interest rates, an ideal environment for stocks to soar.
2, 3, 10 down, 2 down.
And soar they did, the Dow nearly quadrupling since the expansion began. The question, though, has the economy changed for good? Sales online are still a sliver of total retailing. And among Fortune's top 100 companies, there's not a single .com.
Well, during the dot-com boom in the late 90s and early 2000 and 2001, these companies were, that people called dot-com companies, were starting up to exploit the internet. And people had the belief that they were going to be unbelievably successful, that they would replace all the traditional kind of companies. And the stock prices were going, just skyrocketing, going completely crazy. And companies that had never sold a single product or made a single dollar were worth, hundreds of millions of dollars.
I have a number of students who fully expect to be billionaires by the time they hit their 30s.
And Alan Greenspan pushed interest rates down to 1% in 2003 and 2004. In fact, interest rates were below inflation for almost 3 years. And when interest rates are low, you're going to buy a bigger house, you're going to buy in a better neighborhood, you're going to buy cherry cabinets and granite countertops because you can afford it. So what happens when you hold interest rates down like this, you cause people to make decisions that they wouldn't otherwise make. Now let me put this in a different perspective. House prices went up at 8% in 2001, went up 8% in 2001. By 2004 and 2005, they went up 14% in 2004, 15% in 2005. So you could borrow at 1%, especially with those teaser loans, and you could have a house that was appreciating at 14%. What a great deal. And so what happened is that we encouraged more people to buy homes and bigger homes than they should have at the time.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, what are they and what role did they play?
These are two government-sponsored enterprises which purchase mortgages from banks and other lenders. And so as these more risky mortgages come along, the banks don't hold on to those mortgages. In other words, the bank may lend to you or to me knowing that we are risky borrowers, but they sell the mortgage to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. They get their money right then and there, and it's up to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to collect on those mortgages over the next 30 years. Investors will invest in these companies, relying on the fact that the government is not going to let them fail, whereas the government will let some banks fail.
Right.
that a huge percentage of the jobs created, some argue as much as 30% of the job creation over the last few years, has been because of the housing boom, whether it's construction, whether it's mortgage brokers, real estate brokers, etc. And if that all goes away, what happens to those jobs?
I mean, it's not wealth that's increased in the last few years. We haven't increased our productive capacity. All that's increased is the paper values of our stocks and real estate. But that's not real wealth, no more than the NASDAQ was wealth. When you see the stock market come down and the real estate bubble burst, all that phony wealth is going to evaporate. And all that's going to be left is all the debt that we accumulated to foreigners.
Peter, I'm going to take a bet with you on this one.
Those are usually once-in-a-lifetime events. Well, you're suggesting that in very short order, less than 10 years later, we're going to have another one?
Well, in a different asset class, sure, in real estate.